welcome to Truth Talkin Thursday. This is Jim. I'm Jane. We are back.
We are.
So we've been MIA since before Christmas, and we were just musing a little bit over how much has happened since we've seen each other. So I think before the Christmas holidays, I had mentioned that I was going to make a move. I had bought a house. It's a 100-year-old century home. Needs a lot of work. It's got a ton of character, ton of possibilities. After I moved in, I fell down the stairs and I threw my back out. Jim too experienced some dilemmas.
So some setbacks, but nothing serious, really. I can understand how people really kind of get depressed, and I can not that I am, but I've been very fortunate that I haven't. That hasn't been a place that I ended up going to or anything like that. But I can understand it. I mean, somebody, especially if you're living alone for a length of time, or you have limited resources. If nothing else, it's given me a really interesting viewpoint of getting older. And it's not that we're fragile so much, but it's, man, you can't do the things you used to be able to do and get away with them anymore. And that's one of the things that bothers me. I mean, the mind is willing, but the body says, no.
Not today.
Not today. Yeah, maybe tomorrow. Come and see me then, but not today.
Yeah.
And
well, we were just kind of talking about how we both had some health complications, I guess we'll say. And, it really makes you realize how much you take for granted. Our health, whether it be physical, emotional, mental, what have you.
The whole bunch.
We take all of that for granted. And one thing, I've spent a lot of time being unable to move because of my back, and I don't do well with that.
No.
My mind goes, it gets away from me, and I end up I can end up in a really bad spot. But I'm thankful for how far I've come. I guess I would say in that, where I have friends that I can reach out to talk to. I've been journaling and just writing about my day, but also making regular entries in my gratitude journal, and trying to pick out one thing each day that's positive. And some of those days were a challenge. I needed to challenge myself to remember, this too will pass. Yes, you're laid up right now, but you need to figure out how to get through this time.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me it's kind of a similar experience in that you do take for granted your health and all the things that you do, and then I think back at some of the dumb stuff I did, and I used to take that for granted too, because you're 40 years old and you can do anything, you're invincible, right, and all that. Well, no, you're not. But I think one of the things that was really interesting for me, and it's that experiential learning idea, right? As soon as you do something, you learn from it, and it's something that learning sticks with you. But it was kind of driven home that the things that Jane and I talk about here in this little chat, and the things that not advice, we don't give advice, but just some of the things that we talk about, and some of the things that we discuss or describe, or you might want to think about this, or you might want to consider it from that point of view. I was struck with how helpful those points were for me.
And you realize too, Jim, like I missed you. Like I
Oh,
didn't.
Jim.
You realize how. Jim and I have said before that these talks that we do aren't only for you as the viewer; they're for us too. And I've made it a point to include positivity in my daily life. And when some of those little things that I look forward to in my week get cut out of my life for a significant time, boy, do I notice it.
Yep.
And that's another positive thing for me to realize that, what, I took that for granted too. I took for granted our chats.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I guess the point there is, it doesn't. Life doesn't have to be as complicated as we tend to make it. There are some simple, basic kind of things that you can do on a day-to-day basis that will make things better.
My chiropractor, when I finally did manage to get to him, I guess I was communicating that, well, while I'm sore, I did this, maybe that's why I'm sore. And it really kind of struck me. He said to me, you know, Jane, he said, I think you need to stop. You need to stop. I forget what word he used, but basically stop trying to figure out what you did wrong. The reality of it is your back is sore. So do something to make it not sore, whatever that is.
That's right.
It stop focusing on, I'm sick of this. This is week 3. I just want my routine back. The fact is, you can't have your routine back because you are not well enough to get your routine back. So you're going to have to take it step by step. You know, when you were saying about missing the things that we do, it kind of made me think it's not only missing the things we do, but having to give up the plans we had.
Yes.
You know, like I had so much. I had a deadline. I had planned on renting out my apartment downstairs by January 1st. It's still not rented out. And you know, if I allow myself to let my thoughts go, I can get really, really worked up about that. But the bottom line is how thankful I am that I didn't have to meet that deadline. I never would have made it.
No.
There's way too many things that went wrong. There's way too many things, not even really went wrong, but so many unforeseen things that we're not prepared for that had to be done. Big things that, you know,
and that's,
you can't leave.
And that's an extremely valid point, and one that I forget sometimes, but you cannot prepare for what you don't know is coming. and to get upset when it comes, it doesn't make an awful lot of sense. I mean, we all get, geez, you know, that's, but a lot of us spend too much time thinking about, well, what if?
And we get stuck there.
We get stuck there.
And if we don't arrest our attention and drag ourselves away from that, we're actually kind of inviting more of that, aren't we?
Exactly. I mean, negative stuff attracts negative stuff. Mm-hmm. And, you know, if you're not doing anything to kind of change the atmosphere, change the reality of what's going on, within reason, I mean, there are some basic things that you can do that will always make a difference. Not make it better, but they'll make a difference. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the key point there is there are things. And so, you know, yeah. The
bottom line, I think, for me is here, you know, I'm thankful to be back. Hopefully you're glad we're back too. I know that several of you mentioned either to my children, people that I know, hey, you know, how come Jane hasn't been posting any videos anymore? You know, where's Jim and Jane's Truth Talk? And it kind of made me realize that, you know, maybe they're not important to everybody, but for some people they make a difference, and that's why we do this.
Yes.
And so for me, I'm glad to be back, and I'm looking forward to the new year. I know we've got a late start, and you know what? We might have some bumps in the road ahead yet, but you're still on my thoughts, and I'm still excited.
And we'll still be on YouTube.
There you go.
And next week, one thing I would like to mention, one of the things that I found over the time from Christmas, from New Year's Eve to now, is how many people still make New Year's resolutions. And I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't do that. It's stupid.
All right. So now we have our topic for next week. My mind is already going. I'm thinking,
I'm going to give you 3 reasons why it's not a good idea. How's that? It's not stupid.
All right.
It's three reasons why it's not a good idea. And if you're going to do it, then those 3 reasons will help you get closer to managing or to realizing what those things are. But why you shouldn't make New Year's Eve resolutions.
That sounds great to me.
There you go.
So keep that in mind and have a great week.
Thanks for dropping by.